This is the start of a mini-series on intervals, or the distance in pitch between two notes. This lesson focuses on seconds, what they are, how to play them on the guitar, and how seconds are used to build scales. In standard music notation, the interval of a second is simply the next note up or down the music staff. Seconds are also called steps. These are steps up, and these are steps down. You can further define steps as half steps and whole steps. On the guitar, a half step is the distance of one fret, and a whole step is the distance of two frets. Whole steps and half steps have other names as well. A whole step is a major second, and a half step is a minor second. And most scales are made up of regular patterns of half steps and whole steps. For example, the major scale, every major scale, is made up of the same sequence as whole steps and half steps. That's going to be whole step, half step, whole, 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 half. Here's a C major scale laid out on one string. We begin counting the whole steps and half steps after we play the tonic or starting note of the scale. So there's our starting note or our tonic. From there we count whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. And here's a B flat major scale laid out on one string. The notes are different, but the whole step, half step pattern is the same. Starting note B flat, and then whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. To play melodies and scales efficiently, you need to be able to play whole steps and half steps, or major and minor seconds, along one string. Also, you need to find them moving from one string to the next. To play a half step along the same string, that's easy. Just play the next fret up or down. To play a half step switching from one string to the next, you're mostly going to be moving 4 frets away, with the exception of when you're moving between strings 2 and 3. So if your first note is on the 6th string, and you want to play a half step or a minor second higher on the 5th string, you play 4 frets lower, and vice versa. Same if you're moving between strings 5 and 4, and 4 and 3. Now here's our exception. If your lower note is on the 3rd string, then 3 frets lower on the 2nd string will be a half step higher, and vice versa. And that is because of how the guitar is tuned. And then if your first note is on the 2nd string, we're back to 4 frets lower on the 1st string, being a half step or a minor second higher, and vice versa. Now whole steps. To play a whole step along the same string, just play 2 frets distance, up or down. Now if your first note is on the 6th string, 3 frets lower on the 5th string will be a whole step or major second higher, and vice versa. Same if your first note is on the 5th string, moving to the 4th string, 3 frets distance. And same if you're moving from 4 to 3, string 4 to 3. And here's our exception again because of the way the guitar is tuned. If your lower note is on the 3rd string, moving to string 2, if you want to play a major second or a whole step higher, you'll move 2 frets distance, and vice versa. And if your lower note is on the 2nd string, and you want to play a whole step higher on the 1st string, that's back to 3 frets distance, and vice versa. You can use this information to deepen your understanding of scale charts. It's one thing to memorize a scale pattern, it's another thing to understand where your whole steps and half steps are. Here's a common major scale form. This is the tonic, or your starting note. And from there, whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. Then it starts over, whole, whole, half, whole, 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 and half. The next lesson focuses on thirds, and when that lesson's ready, I'll post a link at the end of this video. Check out this playlist if you're interested in music theory for guitar players, and for more guitar lessons, music theory, and solo guitar arrangements, please subscribe.